Welcome to KFUG Community Radio, 101.1 FM and streaming online at kfugradio.org. You've tuned into News Now, a co-production of KFUG Community Radio and Wild Rivers Outpost. We're going to tell you about some local news now. For KFUG Community News, I'm Persephone Corvid-Rose.
I'm Braden Hatch.
And I'm Avi Kritz.
Crescent City will begin designing a multi-use trail that will connect the harbor to the Elk Creek pedestrian bridge on US 101. The Crescent City Council recently awarded a $60,000 contract to Stover Engineering, which will complete specifications for a project that turns Sunset Circle into a one-way street and builds out a portion of the California Coastal Trail. The project may include fencing, additional streetlights, and curbs, but that's contingent upon reaching an agreement with the owner of two properties in the area, according to City Manager Eric Weir. Weir said if the city can come to terms with the property owner in question, the design cost will be roughly $20,000. He estimated that the project would cost $60,000 if the city is unable to come to terms with the property owner and will have to be redesigned. At that point, there wouldn't be enough room for a fence or for lighting the trail close to the curb, he said. The local transportation commission agreed to fund the $60,000 redesign if the city can't come to an agreement with the property owner. Quote, "We have everything in place to ensure we have a project," Weir said. According to Weir, the design must be started by February 4th to meet a narrow timeline. The city must meet a March 16th deadline to be eligible for Caltrans construction allocation dollars. The project will cost in total $902,000, according to the staff report. About $640,000 will be paid for with active transportation program dollars, which the city has already spent $150,000 of. The other $262,000 is coming from the Del Norte Local Transportation Commission. If it doesn't complete the project, it may have to pay back those dollars and be on the hook to find other funding sources. Quote, "That's a very real concern, which is why we hit with this two-pronged approach," he said. "At the very least, we'll build the trail, but the best-case scenario is still to work with the property owner."
Billing its community as the small town with the big heart, Crescent City submitted a video, along with other application materials, to HDTV for a reality show makeover. Spearheaded by residents Valerie Smith and her mother Fran Mikowski, city staff and elected officials banded together with business leaders to tell Crescent City's story. The hope is to convince Ben and Aaron Napier, the hosts of Hometown Takeover, to help revitalize the downtown area. Quote, "It's such a heartfelt thing to be part of the community," Smith told the Wild Rivers Outpost. This is just the next big thing that we are able to be included in," end quote. According to Smith, she and about 31 other residents met at the new Bella Notte restaurant and created a Facebook group before approaching the city. Despite its scenic beauty, Smith said, the town's buildings are so run down from the 1964 tsunami and the conveyor belt of storms Crescent City endures each year. The town needs a bit more pride, she said. Speaking before the Crescent City Council last week, City Manager Eric Weir said he hired a videographer, Jonathan DeSoto, to tell the community story. The video features interviews from Weir, Crescent City Mayor Blake Inscore, Billy K. Gavin Tigert, owner of 6 Degrees of Celebration and a member of the Downtown Divas, and businessman Kevin Hartwig. In the video, Inscore tells of the loss of Crescent City's downtown due to the 1964 tsunami and how quickly it was built back up. DeSoto's video also features footage of the Crescent City Harbor, the current downtown area, as well as the historic photographs of 2nd Street before the tsunami. Quote, "I always said if we could bottle nostalgia in this town, we would be millionaires," Gavin Tigert said. "Because when people talk about it, it's always something nostalgic before the tidal wave. Just need HGTV to give us that little miracle to bring us back to life." If you wish to see the video, you can visit Wild Rivers Outpost on Facebook to view it.
More than one commercial cannabis operator will be able to do business in Del Norte County's Cannabis Business Combining District. Recent changes to the county's commercial cannabis ordinance rectifies an accidental monopoly in the urban area just outside Crescent City limits. Council Joe Campbell Blair told supervisors at a recent Board of Supervisors meeting. It also allows for new commercial cannabis operations in the Smith River area. The changed ordinance reduces the required setback between commercial cannabis retailers from 1,000 feet to 200 feet for businesses on the same street, according to Campbell Blair. The county's Environmental Review Committee recommended the 200-foot buffer between retailers, he said. The complaint or criticism we got is we accidentally created a monopoly for one business, Campbell Blair said, adding that the setbacks made it so whoever was the first retailer to set up shop, in this case Sticky Grove, just outside city limits, was the only business allowed to operate. Quote, reducing down to 200 feet allows other businesses to operate within that space, end quote. Del Norte County's troubleshoot ordinance comes as Crescent City is finalizing its own commercial cannabis ordinance. At its February 3rd meeting, the City Council approved 600-foot setbacks from schools and daycare centers for retailers and agreed to set use permit fees by resolution for retailers, manufacturers, processors, and cultivators. The Board of Supervisors voted 4-1 in favor of the changed ordinances. District 1 Supervisor Roger Gitlin dissented.
The Crescent City Harbor District, agreed to use revenue from a transient occupancy tax increase to pay a U.S. Department of Agriculture loan first before focusing on the repairs of port facilities. Commissioners recently approved a memorandum of understanding with Del Norte County outlining how dollars from the voter-approved TOT increase would be spent. The MOU also grants the Board of Supervisors oversight over a facilities maintenance plan for the port. But according to the agreement, the ability to make repairs to harbor facilities will come after the county auditor receives documentation showing that the USDA loan was paid off. According to Harbor Commissioner Rick Shepard, who helped spearhead the Citizens Initiative in 2018, approving the MOU was necessary to begin receiving that extra funding. The MOU will go before the Del Norte County Board of Supervisors for approval, the Harbor District's legal counsel, Autumn Luna, told the Wild Rivers Outpost on Thursday. Luna said she didn't know when the board would take up the matter. Approved by voters, the initiative increased the transient occupancy tax, the extra few dollars that visitors to hotels in the county from 8% to 10%. It also established a 2% tax on spaces rented at RV parks in the county. Revenue from the increase is intended to help the Crescent City Harbor District pay down a $4.525 million U.S. Department of Agriculture loan used to rebuild the inner boat basin following tsunamis in 2006 and 2011. Measure C dollars would also pay for repairs to the port's facilities, such as Citizens Dock and Whaler Island Groin. Under the agreement, the county will collect TOT, deposit the funding into a special account, and disperse it. The agreement requires the Harbor District to supply the county auditor with invoices, receipts, account statements, or other documents to show the amount of the loan payment made to the USDA on October 15th. According to the agreement, the Harbor pays $262,000 annually to the USDA. The auditor will then reimburse the Harbor for the amount of USDA loan payment between November 1st and November 20th, according to the agreement. The Harbor District may make additional payments to cover the USDA loan, according to the agreement. If there is money available in its account, the county must reimburse the Harbor the amount of the extra payment amount. Measure C came about after Harbor Commissioners discussed ways to pay off the port's USDA loan and fund roughly $11 million in needed repairs. It received 55% of approval among Del Norte County voters on November 6, 2018.
The union representing local teachers rejected a new offer from Del Norte Unified School District, saying the proposal would mean a financial hit for many of its members. The Del Norte Teachers Association's bargaining team plans to issue a counterproposal through a date for, though a date for that hasn't been decided on. DNTA lead negotiator Paige Thompson told the Wild Rivers Outpost. The district's offer, issued January 29th, is its first since October, Thompson said. It mirrors a recommendation from Renee Main, a mediator with the California Public Employment Relations Board. After meeting with both parties at a December 5th hearing, Main offered her recommendations in a report that was made public on January 14th. In a January 29th email to DNTA members, Thompson said the bargaining team is holding strong to make sure members don't take a financial hit due to the increase in health and welfare costs. Quote, the district's proposal from today does not honor the hard work we are doing, Thompson said, and it does not help attract and retain the quality educators our students need and deserve. In a joint communique to all certified staff, DNUSD's Human Resources Director, Colleen Parker, states no tentative agreement was reached with the union. Negotiators on both sides will begin meeting next month to discuss certified staff's 2020 to 2021 contract, according to Parker. DNUSD's latest proposal covers fiscal years 2019 to 2020, 2020 to 2021, and 2021 to 2022. For the 2019 to 2020 year, DNUSD is proposing a 2% salary increase retroactive to July 1st, 2019. Flat dollar stipends would also see a 2% increase effective July 1st, 2019, and health insurance premium costs would remain status quo according to the proposal. The district is proposing another 2% salary increase for 2020 to 2021, effective July 1st, 2020. If DNUSD received additional funding through the local control funding formula, salaries would rise a further 0.5% to 1%. Flat dollar stipends would increase by another 2%, and the district would contribute an additional $500 to its health and welfare contribution per employee, both effective July 1st, 2020. Salaries would increase by another 2% for fiscal years 2021 to 2022, effective July 1st, 2021, if the local control funding formula year-over-year increased. Certified staff salaries would increase by a further 0.5% to 1%, according to the district's proposal. Flat dollar stipends would increase by another 2%, and the district health and welfare contribution would raise by $500 per employee, both effective July 1st, 2021. In its proposal, the district argues that any change in hourly pay for DNTA members will take effect on the first of the month after a tentative agreement is approved by the DNUSD Board of Trustees. The district also argues that because the bargaining process has lasted nearly a year, the current contract will become the successor contract from 2019 to 2022. Quote, the district believes it is important to provide employees with the stability of ongoing pay and health and welfare increases, to allow staff to maintain their highest focus on students and reduce the external pressure that negotiations can create, DNUSD stated in its proposal. Under the district's proposed offer, however, a first-year teacher at the bottom of the salary schedule using the district's Pine/Spruce healthcare plan would lose $14.52 each month before taxes, according to Thompson. She notes that teachers are only paid for 10 months of work. Further along the certified staff's salary schedule, a teacher with a credential and bachelor's degree plus 60 units of extra training or a master's degree and 50 additional units who worked in the district for 10 years would see a salary increase of $34.13 before taxes if they have DNUSD's healthcare plan. Quote, if you have the Redwood medical plan, the most you could possibly see with a 2% raise is $51.42 each month, 10 months before taxes, Thompson said. This number is if you are on cell F30. Any other cell would receive less than this each month. According to Maine's fact-finding report, her recommendation was based on the district's initial offer last spring to increase certified salaries by 1%. It did not take into consideration the district's October offer of an additional 1% raise contingent upon enrollment, making DNUSD's total proposal 2%. DNTA, meanwhile, started contract negotiations with the district more than 330 days ago by asking for a 6% salary raise. Since then, the union has been pressing DNUSD for a 3.54% increase in the salary schedule and a 3.54% increase in flat dollar salaries, according to Maine's report.
And doing something a little new for our newscast, we're going to have a discussion about the news team and our recent kind of journey and events to a youth media conference in Oakland.
Yes.
So
You may have noticed from the Redwood Voice side of things, there's been not much activity because we were away
in Oakland,
learning new skills.
Yeah.
youth media.
Yeah, both Persephone and Avi got to go. I unfortunately was unable to. So I wanted to ask you guys, what the heck did you do in Oakland?
What the heck did you do
What
down
did
there?
you do at the youth media conference? Tell me all about it.
Yes. All right. I'm being pointed at because I still have the agendas because I'm responsible. So first, we'd gotten a day early and got to enjoy the complimentary hotel room that was provided for us because we were several hundred miles away from home. And that is what you do for people because of that. We then registered the next day, and we were given options as to like many different workshops. I'm being looked at by Avi. Do you have anything you would like to say? Because otherwise I'll just read the agenda.
No, that's all good. What, like, if you could give some examples of what workshops were available to the youth and how many youth were there, kind of a general. There was a couple hundred? 150? 150 or so youth from youth media organizations all across the state.
Wow.
57 cohorts.
57 cohorts.
So different organizations.
57 organizations, including Redwood Voice. That's us.
Also going back, an opening session was given by the Youth Advisory Board, which is, I believe, comprised of YR Media and other affiliates of the network. And we participated in many community grounding exercises, led frequently by one Paulina Rojas, who I believe preferred being referred to as Pa, from Coachella Unincorporated.
They were so cool. They were very cool and helpful to all the youth coming in. It was
I'm
really
getting
awesome.
so much trouble. What tone are we going for this conversation?
I was just,
Yeah.
Nice.
So, tell me specifically about some of the workshops you guys went
The
to.
workshops on the first day, there was an option between visual stories, which is graphic journalism and illustration, developing short-form videos, and the art of the podcast. I went with the podcast, and so did Avi.
we both went to the podcast one. And I think we found that really informative because we're trying to start more podcasts and kind of get a better feel for that.
We have several podcasts
We
already.
have quite a few podcasts, yeah. And kind of the main gist of it was how to start your podcast, how to market your podcast, and how to make money off of it, as well as build your listener base. And it wasn't just about like, this is what a podcast is this is how to build your brand with this podcast and kind of expand and get your message out there. It was really cool. It was a really awesome workshop.
And also thank you to Delincy Parham and Blake Simmons from the Hella Black podcast, who were the people who actually hosted the workshop. They were just very cool people.
They were awesome, yeah. And for the second day, what 2 workshops did we go to? Another one was a podcast.
Second day, a lot of stuff happened. There were some morning workshops between Flipping the Lens, a photography workshop, My Ears Are for Interviewing, an interviewing workshop, and Let's Talk About Narrative. So for Let's Talk About Narrative, I actually attended that one because of personal, like, author reasons, because I'm also an author. So Avi, if you have any way you would like to incorporate that into our work here. Narrative.
the workshop.
Yeah.
That workshop that day was mostly about how to craft the narrative and kind of how to craft a story. Specifically in the workshop we were looking at horror podcasts and kind of like one-shot story horror podcasts and how the story like increases tension and all that. We also got a really good look at what kind of Foley work really adds to like the atmosphere and narrative. It was really interesting. And we heard a couple different examples from, I believe, the Spooked podcast, which I forget which organization puts that out, but it was very interesting.
And that was facilitated by Annie Nguyen from Snap Judgment Incorporated.
Yeah.
Who, Snap Judgment is also where the Spooked podcast comes from.
Recommend. They're scary.
Yeah.
And yes, we learned a lot about kind of how to craft an interesting narrative. And again, the music cues and the Foley work on those podcasts, it really it gave me a lot of ideas for
Which will
different
definitely
podcasts.
come in handy with our journalist news
Our
stories.
journalist. And what was the last workshop we went to?
The afternoon workshops, we had an option between breaking down investigative reporting, telling stories on Instagram, in case you wanted to take one for Instagram stories, and Graphic Design 101, which was Canva training, using the app Canva.
Heck yeah.
We went for breaking down investigative reporting. If you're wondering why we went to the same ones a lot, it's because we kind of just had the same ideas, and there were 2 of us. That was facilitated by Martin Reynolds from the Maynard Institute, and taught us just the ins and outs of pretty basic investigative reporting, what that entails, and things you should note. One of the most interesting things we actually learned from that were things called fault lines, which is how stories can often be influenced by just kind of the way that people are, because we all have our own individual experiences. I'm pulling out notes without full knowledge on where that was, but I found them, because a good journalist uses notes and doesn't guess. And but emphasize such things as minimizing harm, being accountable, always sourcing things. The fault lines include things such as race, class, gender, sexual orientation, generation, like Gen Zs or boomers, just so we make that clear, geography, and then also things that were fissures, like politics, religion, and things that could possibly change, and just kind of gave us a view as to how people view things, how we may view stories, how that can help us avoid bias and see bias, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, that was a really interesting workshop, and we kind of got to work as a group to look at different example stories and see, okay, these fault lines may be affecting their perception of it. It was really interesting. It was very cool.
Did you make a lot of connections with people professionally at the event?
I think we did. We actually interfaced, networked with a bunch of different youth from a bunch of different organizations, and I believe Persephone noted that a lot of our social media stuff. Yeah, if you want.
Actually, it turns out we've been following one of the organizations for a long time throughout various iterations of Redwood Voice, the No, who I believe are in Fresno. If anyone from the No is listening to our very local centric podcast,
what's up?
Newscast here. But yeah, it was nice being able to network and interface. Braden, did you have a favorite workshop?
I didn't go.
Well, it clearly wasn't an improv workshop, was it?
No.
Yes, and Braden.
Yes,
Any other questions?
I have. So, what would you rate the experience? Was it worth going to?
Definitely.
I think it definitely was. Yeah.
11 stars out of 5.
11 stars.
Whoa.
You guys learned a lot, yeah?
I think definitely.
Okay. Good. Yeah, jump in.
I
here.
want to chime in on this because I went along to as the adult coordinator. Hi, Paul here. And
Wait, there's another person in the room.
Pulling back the curtain here.
Pulling back the curtain. Yeah, right. I'm the wizard behind the curtain.
Do not look at the man behind the curtain.
Get out of my.
He's self-conscious.
So that was my role. Was really the networking, and I mean, their role was to get to know and to learn things and to learn things alongside other people. But for me, that's why I was there. The workshops that they got to go to were super fun, and I didn't get to go to them. I had to go sit in the room with the rest of the adults, which was also really cool because we talked about everything from fundraising for organizations like this to actually collaborating with each other on all sorts of things. And we've already started with the No, talking with the people from the No in Fresno, sort of a statewide endeavor looking at schools, which is something that you've begun doing right here.
Yes.
So yeah, we're already looking to connect with these wonderful organizations, really, really dedicated and passionate people out there doing just fantastic stuff, and it's nice to be affiliated with them. That's my 2 cents.
Definitely, yeah. Thank you for your input. Now go back to the ether where you came from.
Sorry.
Be gone.
And if nothing else, on the Redwood Voice Instagram, we're following all of you guys.
You're welcome. But yeah, it was really great to meet everybody, and I'm excited to do more collabs, radio collabs with everybody. And I think it was really interesting to meet everyone.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Oh, that's great.
In other news, Monday evening, the True North Organizing Network hosted a Board of Supervisors Candidates Forum at the United Methodist Church in Crescent City. All 7 candidates vying for the 3 seats up for grabs attended, as did over 100 local voters. Check out the Wild Rivers Outpost online for Jessica Sainar's article. Jessica also recorded the forum for KFUG and will air the forum in its entirety tomorrow night at 6 p.m. right here on KFUG Community Radio. Thanks again for tuning into News Now. To hear more episodes, check out our website kfugradio.org or our YouTube channel. Special thanks to Wild Rivers Outpost and Jessica Sainar, Crescent City Bureau Chief, for providing great content. Tune in 2 weeks from now to KFUG Community Radio 101.1 FM and streaming online at kfugradio.org to hear more from your favorite local radio station.
Support for youth programming here at KFUG Community Radio comes from State Farm Insurance Agent Mary Dorman. Mary's office is located at 490 L Street in Crescent City at the corner of 5th Street and 101 South. You can reach Mary anytime. Give her a call, 707-464-2414 or online at marydorman.com. For all your insurance needs, call State Farm Insurance Agent and KFUG underwriter Mary Dorman.